Stephanie wanted to argue that she wasn't too thin. She was just broke thin, survival thin. But the food smelled incredible, so she ate instead. The brothers watched her with that same intense focus from the plane, like she was the most fascinating thing in the world. Stop staring, Stephanie said around a mouthful of eggs. I told you it's creepy. Can't help it, Taeho said with a grin. We've been watching you from a distance for 6 months. Now you're actually here, in our home eating our food. It's surreal. For you. Stephanie set down her fork. I'm the one who went from serving tables in San Francisco to eating breakfast in a Seoul penthouse with 3 men who claim to share everything. This is the definition of surreal. About that, Minjun said, closing his tablet. We promised you explanations. Rules. Full transparency. So let's start there. Hello besties. Welcome back to Afro-Korean Stories. The journey continues with part 2, and trust me, you're not going to want to miss a single second of what's coming up. But before we dive into the next part, if you haven't watched part 1, check the channel for part 1. Make sure to watch part 1 first so you don't miss any of the twists, turns, and intense moments that set the stage for all the drama unfolding now. If you're enjoying the ride, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when we drop the next story. You definitely don't want to miss what's coming next. Let's jump into part 2 and keep this adventure going. He gestured to the living room, and they all moved to the massive sectional sofa. Stephanie sat in the middle. The 3 brothers arranging themselves around her in a loose triangle. The symbolism wasn't lost on her. She was literally the center of their world now. First rule. Minjun began. Honesty. Always. We don't lie to each other, and we don't keep secrets. If something is bothering you, you say it. If you're scared or angry or confused, you tell us. Communication is the only way this works. Second rule. Hyunwoo continued. Safety. You don't go anywhere without one of us or our security. Seoul is a big city, and our enemies would love to use you against us. Until you understand the landscape and the threats, you stay protected. Third rule. Taeho said. Respect. This goes both ways. We respect your boundaries, your needs, your autonomy. And you respect ours. We're not trying to control you, Stephanie. We're trying to build something together. What about the physical stuff? Stephanie asked bluntly. The sharing part. How does that actually work? Do you have a schedule? Do you take turns? Do I just sleep with whoever wants me on any given night? The brothers exchanged glances, and Hyunwoo was the one who answered. It's not transactional like that. We're not going to treat you like a commodity we pass around. What happens between you and any of us is organic. Natural. If you want to be with one of us, you choose that. If you want to be alone, that's fine too. And you won't get jealous? Stephanie pressed. If I'm with one of you and not the others? We've shared everything our entire lives, Minjun said. We don't think in terms of jealousy or possession the way most people do. If you're with Hyunwoo, Taeho and I are happy because you're happy. If you're with all 3 of us, even better. But there's no competition here. We're a unit. That's not normal, Stephanie said. You know that's not normal, right? We stopped being normal the day we were born 3 minutes apart, and spent the next 30 years never being more than 10 feet away from each other, Taeho said. Normal isn't something we aspire to. Stephanie sipped her coffee, trying to process. What about the business? The illegal stuff you mentioned. Am I supposed to just ignore that? Pretend I don't know you're criminals? We prefer the term entrepreneurs with flexible ethics, Taeho said with a smirk. Minjun shot him a look. We're not going to lie to you about what we do, Stephanie. Yes, parts of our business operate in gray areas. But we have rules. We don't deal in drugs. We don't traffic people. We don't hurt innocents. The people we go after are other criminals who play the same game we do. That's a very convenient moral line, Stephanie observed. It's the only one we have, Hyunwoo said. We're not asking you to participate in any of it. Your role is to be our partner, our anchor, the person we come home to when the darkness gets too heavy. So I'm supposed to just sit here in this tower and look pretty while you go out and do crimes? Stephanie's voice rose. That sounds like a different kind of cage. No, Minjun said firmly. You're supposed to live. Build a life here. Learn Korean. Explore the city. Make friends. Go to school if you want. We'll pay for whatever degree you're interested in. Start a business. Volunteer. Whatever makes you happy. We're not asking you to be a prisoner, Stephanie. We're asking you to be our equal. With the understanding that you can't leave, Stephanie said quietly. That's the part none of you are saying. I'm here now, and I can't just decide tomorrow that this isn't working and go back to San Francisco. The silence that followed was heavy. Finally, Taeho spoke. You're right. If you leave, our enemies will see it as weakness. They'll use it against us. And they'll come after you to prove a point. So yes, leaving is complicated. Dangerous even. So I'm trapped, Stephanie said flatly. You're protected, Hyunwoo corrected. There's a difference. Is there? Stephanie stood up, pacing to the windows. Seoul stretched out below her, massive and indifferent. You keep saying I have choices, but every choice leads to the same place. Stay here. Be with you. Fit into your world. That's not choice. That's just a prettier cage than the one I left. Minjun stood and walked to her, his movements careful like he was approaching a spooked animal. You're right. And I'm sorry. We should have been clearer about the reality before we brought you here. But Stephanie, please understand. We genuinely want you to be happy. Not compliant. Not obedient. Happy. If that means giving you space, we'll give you space. If that means time to adjust, you have it. But we can't let you go. Not because we're monsters, but because we've finally found something worth keeping. Stephanie turned to face him, tears threatening at the corners of her eyes. I buried my mother yesterday. And now I'm on the other side of the world with 3 men I barely know. Being told I'm stuck here whether I like it or not. How am I supposed to process that? How am I supposed to just be okay with any of this? Hyunwoo was there suddenly, pulling her into his arms. She struggled for a moment, then collapsed against him, the tears finally coming. He held her while she cried, his hand stroking her hair, murmuring soft words in Korean she didn't understand but somehow found comforting anyway. We're sorry, he said when her sobs quieted. We're so sorry. We timed this badly. We should have waited, given you time to grieve. But we were afraid if we waited, you'd disappear into Oakland streets and we'd lose you. You don't even know me, Stephanie said against his chest. How can you be so sure I'm worth all this? 6 months, Taeho said from behind her. We've watched you for 6 months. We know how you take your coffee. We know you bite your lip when you're nervous. We know you hum when you think no one is listening. We know you cry in the shower, so your mother wouldn't hear. We know you, Stephanie. Maybe not everything, but enough to know we want to learn the rest. Stephanie pulled away from Hyunwoo, wiping her eyes. This is insane. All of this. And I must be insane too because part of me wants to stay. Part of me wants to see if this could actually work. But I need time. I need space to breathe and think and figure out who I am when I'm not just surviving. Then take it, Minjun said. Take all the time you need. This penthouse has 6 bedrooms. Pick one and make it yours. Lock the door if you want. We won't push. We won't pressure. We'll just be here when you're ready. And if I'm never ready? Stephanie asked. Then we'll deal with that when it happens, Minjun said. But I don't think that's going to be the problem. Why not? Stephanie demanded. Minjun smiled, small and knowing. Because you're already wondering what it would be like to kiss all 3 of us. You're already imagining what it could be if you let yourself want this. I can see it in your eyes. Stephanie wanted to deny it, but she couldn't. Because he was right. Despite everything, the fear, the grief, the absolute insanity of the situation, there was a part of her that was curious, tempted, already falling. I hate that you can read me that easily, she muttered. You'll learn to read us too, Taeho promised. Give it time. The rest of the day was strange and domestic in ways Stephanie hadn't expected. Minjun had work calls he took in his office, speaking rapid Korean that sounded like he was threatening someone. Taeho disappeared for a few hours, coming back with shopping bags full of clothes in Stephanie's size. When she asked how he knew, he just grinned and said he'd been paying attention. Hyunwoo stayed with her, showing her around the penthouse, the gym on the lower level, The library full of books in Korean and English. The terrace with its infinity pool and view of the river. He explained the security system, the panic buttons hidden in every room, the guards who watch the building 24/7. It's a lot, Stephanie said, feeling overwhelmed again. It is, Hyunwoo agreed. But you'll get used to it. And Stephanie, for what it's worth, I'm glad you're here. Even if you're not sure yet. Even if you're scared. I'm glad. That night, Stephanie ate dinner with the three brothers at a table that could seat 12. They talked about Seoul, about places they wanted to show her, about the language lessons they'd arranged. They didn't talk about business or danger, or the complicated reality of their relationship. It was almost normal. Almost. After dinner, Stephanie retreated to her room. She tried on some of the clothes Taeho had bought, designer labels she couldn't pronounce, fabrics softer than anything she'd owned. She looked at herself in the mirror, and barely recognized the woman staring back. This wasn't the girl who hauled crates at the docks. This wasn't the waitress who smiled through harassment. This was someone new. Someone she didn't know yet. There was a soft knock on her door. It's me, Hyunwoo's voice. Can I come in? Stephanie opened the door. He stood there in sweatpants and a t-shirt, looking more human and less like a dangerous criminal than she'd seen him yet. I wanted to give you this, he said, holding out a phone. It's yours. Already programmed with our numbers. You can call anyone you want, friends in San Francisco, anyone. We're not cutting you off from your old life. I don't really have friends, Stephanie admitted, taking the phone. I didn't have time for friends. Then make new ones, Hyunwoo said. There's a community of international women in Seoul. Expats. We can introduce you. You don't have to be isolated here. Thank you, Stephanie said softly. Hyunwoo hesitated, then reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was tender, intimate in a way that made Stephanie's breath catch. In the penthouse. In San Francisco. When you left before I woke up. I want you to know. That wasn't just a transaction for me. I know that's what you do, what you did. But for me it was more. What was it for you? Stephanie asked. The first time I got to touch something I'd been dreaming about for months, Hyunwoo said. The first time I got to pretend, even for a few hours, that you were already mine. I'm not, Stephanie started. Not yet. Hyunwoo interrupted gently. But you will be. When you're ready. Good night, Stephanie. He left before she could respond. And Stephanie stood there holding the phone, her heart racing. She climbed into bed and pulled out the device, scrolling through the contacts. Minyoon Hyunwoo. Tayo. Security. Emergency services. And one other number labeled simply home. She didn't call anyone. Just held the phone and stared at the ceiling, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of Seoul outside her window. Somewhere in this massive city were people who wanted to hurt the Park brothers. People who would use her to do it if they got the chance. Somewhere out there was danger she didn't understand yet. But in here, in this room, she was safe. Federal warm. For the first time in years, she wasn't worried about rent or bills or whether she'd have enough food. The Park brothers had given her that. And they were asking for something in return that terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. Stephanie fell asleep thinking about phoenix tattoos and 3 identical smiles, and wondering if she was brave enough to actually let herself want this. She woke the next morning to voices in the hallway. Angry voices speaking rapid Korean. Stephanie crept to her door and opened it a crack, peeking out. The brothers were in the living room, and they weren't alone. An older Korean man in an expensive suit stood facing them. His expression thunderous. You brought her here? The man was saying in accented English. An American? A black American? Do you have any idea what this looks like? It looks like we're living our lives, Uncle, Minjun said coldly. What we do and who we're with is none of your concern. Everything you do is my concern, the man shot back. The Park family has a reputation. Standards. And you're throwing it away for some girl you picked up in San Francisco. Stephanie felt her face burn with shame and anger. She stepped into the hallway before she could think better of it. I'm not some girl. I'm standing right here. The older man turned, his eyes raking over her with undisguised disdain. So this is her. The waitress. I've heard all about you, Miss Stephanie, About your very diverse employment history. Uncle Park, Hyunwoo said, his voice dangerous. That's enough. Is it? Uncle Park sneered. The three of you, sharing one woman like your dogs fighting over a bone. It's disgraceful. Your father would be ashamed. Our father is dead, Taeho said flatly. And we don't answer to you. You answer to the family, Uncle Park said. And the family will not accept this. You want a woman? Fine. Find a nice Korean girl from a good family. Marry her properly. Have heirs. But this. He gestured at Stephanie with contempt. This is a phase. A rebellion. And it ends now. Get out, Minjun said quietly. Before I have security remove you. You would throw me out? Your own uncle? Uncle Park looked genuinely shocked. Without hesitation, Minjun confirmed. Stephanie is ours. She's family now. And if you can't respect that, you're not welcome here. Uncle Park stared at his nephews for a long moment, then turned to Stephanie. You think you've won something, girl? You think being pretty and available makes you special? They'll get bored. They'll throw you away like trash when the novelty wears off. And then where will you be? She'll still be ours, Hyunwoo said. Now leave. Uncle Park left, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. The moment he was gone, Stephanie felt her knees go weak. She sat down hard on the sofa, her hands shaking. I'm sorry, Minyoon said, sitting beside her. He had no right to speak to you that way. He's not wrong though, Stephanie said quietly. I am a waitress. I was an escort. I don't come from anything. And you three are, your sole royalty basically. Of course people are going to have a problem with me. Let them have a problem, Taeho said fiercely. We don't care. But I care, Stephanie said. I care that I'm going to be the reason people talk about you. The reason your family is disappointed. The reason. Stop, Hyunwoo interrupted. Our uncle is a bitter old man who's been trying to control us since our father died. His opinion means nothing. And as for everyone else, they can think whatever they want. We know who you are. We know what you've survived. And that's worth more than any pedigree or family name. Listen, I need you to pause this story right here and think about something. Right now Stephanie is fighting. She's standing up for herself in a world that wants to tear her down. She's facing judgment, shame, and doubt, but she's not giving up. And if that resonates with you, if you're sitting there feeling her struggle and wanting to see her win, then you owe it to yourself to subscribe. Because the next part of this story is going to show you whether Stephanie breaks, or whether she becomes the queen she's meant to be. And if you don't subscribe, if you just scroll past this video, you're going to spend the rest of your day wondering what happened. You're going to be checking back, hoping for an update, frustrated that you can't find it. Don't do that to yourself. Don't make yourself suffer. Hit that subscribe button right now, smash the like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of this journey. Your future self will thank you. The days that followed were a strange adjustment period. Stephanie started Korean lessons with a tutor Minjun hired, a patient woman named Mrs. Kim who didn't ask questions about why an American was suddenly living with the Park brothers. The language was brutal, all unfamiliar sounds and grammar rules that made no sense, but Stephanie attacked it with the same determination she'd used to survive 3 jobs. She also started exploring Seoul, always with one of the brothers or a bodyguard. The city was overwhelming, neon signs in Gangnam, ancient palaces in Jongno, street food markets that smelled like heaven. She tried tteokbokki and nearly cried from the spice. She visited Bukshin Hanok village, and felt like she'd stepped back in time. She took the subway during rush hour, and understood what true claustrophobia felt like. And slowly, carefully, she started to understand the brothers as individuals rather than a collective unit. Minjun was the strategist, always 3 steps ahead of everyone else. He worked constantly, building legal businesses to wash money from illegal ones, navigating Korean politics with the skill of a master chess player. But he also read poetry in his spare time. He collected first edition books. And he had nightmares about his mother's death that left him shaking and silent. Hyunwoo was the enforcer, the one who did the violence when violence was necessary. But he was also the gentlest of the 3. The one who noticed when Stephanie was overwhelmed and needed space. He cooked elaborate meals when he was stressed. He practiced taekwondo every morning at dawn. And he carried a photo of his mother in his wallet that he thought no one knew about. Tae-ho was the rebel, the one who pushed boundaries and tested limits. He ran the underground operations, the gambling, the protection rackets, the gray market trade. But he also volunteered at a youth center in Itaewon, teaching kids from broken homes how to defend themselves. He painted in a studio on the roof. And he had a scar across his ribs from taking a knife meant for his brothers when they were 19. They were complicated men. Dangerous men. But also broken in ways that made Stephanie understand why they needed each other. Why they might need her. 3 weeks after arriving in Seoul, Stephanie was comfortable enough to venture out alone. With security following at a discreet distance, of course. She was browsing a bookstore in Itaewon when someone bumped into her hard enough to make her drop her books. Sorry, the woman said in English, then paused. Wait. You're her. The American living with the Park brothers. Stephanie looked up to find a Korean woman about her age, designer clothes, perfect makeup, and eyes full of venom. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play dumb, the woman said. Everyone knows. The triplets brought home a pet from America. A black girl they're passing around like a toy. How does it feel, being their whore? Stephanie felt the old rage rising. The same fury that had gotten her through Oakland streets. How does it feel being so obsessed with my life that you harass strangers in bookstores? The woman's face flushed. You don't belong here. You don't belong with them. They're using you, and when they're done, they'll throw you away. Then I guess that's my problem, not yours, Stephanie said coldly. She picked up her books and walked away, her hands shaking. The bodyguard appeared at her elbow. Are you all right, Miss Stephanie? Should I? I'm fine, Stephanie Lied. Let's just go home. But she wasn't fine. The encounter shook her more than she wanted to admit. Because the woman was right about one thing. Everyone knew. Everyone was watching. Judging. Waiting for her to fail. When she got back to the penthouse, all 3 brothers were there, which was unusual for mid-afternoon. They took one look at her face and knew something was wrong. What happened? Minyoon demented. Stephanie told them about the bookstore, about the woman's words. Taeho's face went dark with rage. Did you get a name? A photo? No, Stephanie said. And don't go after her. She's not worth it. She disrespected you, Hyunwoo said, his voice tight. That makes her worth it. This is what I'm talking about, Stephanie said, frustration bleeding into her voice. You can't just attack everyone who says something mean to me. I've dealt with worse my entire life. I don't need you to fight my battles. But we want to, Taeho said. We want to destroy anyone who hurts you. That's not healthy, Stephanie said. That's not sustainable. And it's going to get people killed. Would that be so bad? Minyoon asked quietly. If people learned there were consequences for coming after what's ours. Stephanie stared at him. Yes, that would be bad. Because then I become the reason for violence. The cause of bloodshed. And I can't live with that. The brothers exchanged looks, and Stephanie could see them having that silent conversation again. Finally Hyunwoo spoke. What do you want us to do? I want you to teach me, Stephanie said. Teach me Korean faster. Teach me how to move in your world. Teach me how to defend myself, so I don't need bodyguards following me everywhere. Make me strong enough that people like that woman don't matter. That we can do, Minjun said with a slight smile. Consider it done. The training started the next day. Language lessons doubled. Mrs. Kim was joined by a conversation partner, who forced Stephanie to speak only Korean for hours at a time. Hyunwoo taught her taekwondo in the gym, patient but demanding. Taeho taught her how to read people, how to spot threats, how to navigate Seoul's underground culture. Minjun taught her the business, explaining the legitimate operations and the illegal ones, treating her like a partner rather than a decoration. It was exhausting. Stephanie fell into bed every night with aching muscles and an overloaded brain. But she was learning, growing, becoming someone new. 6 weeks after arriving in Seoul, Stephanie woke up and realized she'd dreamed in Korean. Not much, just fragments, snippets of conversation. But it was progress. She also realized she hadn't thought about San Francisco in days. Hadn't mourned her old life or wished she could go back. Seoul was becoming home in ways she hadn't expected. That night, there was a charity gala the brothers had to attend. Some fundraiser for children's hospitals that was really an excuse for Seoul's elite to show off their wealth and make connections. The brothers invited Stephanie, but didn't pressure her when she hesitated. I don't know if I'm ready for that, Stephanie admitted. Being seen publicly with all three of you. Making it official. You don't have to be ready, Hyunwoo said. We can go without you. But as Stephanie watched them get dressed in their tuxedos, moving around each other with that synchronized grace, she made a decision. Wait. I'm coming. Are you sure? Minyoon asked. No, Stephanie said honestly. But I'm doing it anyway. Taeho had already predicted this apparently, because there was a gown waiting in her closet. Midnight blue silk that hugged every curve, with a slit up the thigh that was borderline scandalous. Stephanie put it on, did her makeup, and looked at herself in the mirror. The woman staring back looked like she belonged in a Seoul penthouse. Like she could stand beside three powerful men, and not be diminished. Like she was becoming the queen they kept insisting she was. Wow, Taeho said from her doorway. You're going to stop traffic. I'm going to start rumors, Stephanie corrected. Good, Taeho said with a wicked grin. Let them talk. Let them see what we see. The gala was held at a massive hotel in Gangnam, all crystal chandeliers and ice sculptures, and wealthy people pretending their money made them better than everyone else. Stephanie walked in with the three brothers surrounding her, and the room went quiet. Every eye turned to them. Every conversation stopped. The Park Triplets with their American woman. It was the scandal of the season unfolding in real time. Smil, Minyoon Mwomuel. Show them you're not afraid. Stephanie smiled, bright and fierce, and let the brothers lead her into the lion's den. The night was a blur of introductions and thinly veiled insults disguised as compliments. How exotic, one woman said. The brothers always did have unique tastes. I'm sure you're very talented, a businessman said with a knowing smirk. To capture all three of them. Stephanie handled it with grace she didn't know she possessed, smiling and deflecting and refusing to give them the satisfaction of seeing her break. The brothers stayed close, a united front, touching her casually, Minjun's hand on her lower back, Hyunwoo's fingers brushing her arm, Taeho whispering translations of the Rollercoaster comments some guests thought she couldn't understand. Halfway through the evening, Stephanie excused herself to the restroom. She was reapplying lipstick when the door opened and three women walked in. She recognized one of them, the woman from the bookstore. Ladies, Stephanie said coolly, capping her lipstick. We wanted to talk to you, the bookstore woman said. Privately. I'm listening, Stephanie said, leaning against the sink. You need to leave, another woman said. Go back to America. The Park brothers are playing with you. And when they're done, it's going to end badly for everyone. Badly for who? Stephanie asked. For me? Or for you? The third woman stepped forward. There are women here who have been trying to secure marriages with the Park family for years. Good Korean women from respectable families. And you show up out of nowhere and take all three of them? It's not right. Life's not fair, Stephanie said with a shrug. Welcome to reality. You're making a mockery of everything, the bookstore woman hissed. Three men sharing one woman? It's disgusting. It's shameful. Then don't look, Stephanie suggested. Problem solved. She moved to leave, but one of the women grabbed her arm. You think you're clever? You think you've won something? They're going to get bored of you. And when they do, where will you be? A foreign woman in a country that doesn't want you, with a reputation that will follow you everywhere. Stephanie looked down at the hand on her arm, then back up at the woman's face. Let go of me. Now. Or what? The woman challenged. The bathroom door slammed open. Hyunwoo stood there, his expression so cold it could freeze blood. She asked you nicely. I won't. The women scattered like roaches, fleeing past Hyunwoo without a word. He crossed to Stephanie, his hands gentle on her shoulders. Are you okay? I'm fine, Stephanie said. I handled it. I know you did, Hyunwoo said. I watched you handle yourself all night. You were magnificent. I was terrified. Stephanie admitted. Courage isn't not being scared, Hyunwoo said. It's being scared and doing it anyway. You have more courage than anyone in that ballroom, including us. He leaned in and kissed her forehead, soft and reverent. Stephanie felt something crack open in her chest, some final wall she'd been holding onto. Take me home, she said quietly. Please. They left the gala early, the four of them piling into the SUV. The ride back to the penthouse was silent, charged with something electric Stephanie couldn't name. When they got home, she didn't go to her room. She followed the brothers to the main living area and stood in the center, looking at all three of them. I'm ready, she said simply. Ready for what? Minjun asked, though his eyes said he knew exactly what she meant. To stop pretending this is temporary, Stephanie said. To stop holding back. To actually try this thing we're all dancing around. I'm scared. I'm probably going to mess it up. But I want to try. Taeho crossed to her first, taking her face in his hands. You're sure? Once we start this, really start this, there's no going back. I don't want to go back, Stephanie said. There's nothing back there for me anymore. Everything I want is right here. He kissed her then, and it was nothing like the clinical transaction in the penthouse weeks ago. It was desperate and hungry and real. When he pulled back, Hyunwoo was there, then Minjun, each of them kissing her like she was air and they were drowning. Bedroom. Minjun said roughly. Now, they went together, the four of them, and what happened in that room was sacred and profane, and everything in between. Stephanie gave herself to them completely, and they worshipped her in return. 3 men, 1 woman, tangled together until she couldn't tell where she ended, and they began. Afterward, lying in the massive bed with bodies on all sides of her, Stephanie felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Belonging. Home. We love you, Hyunwoo whispered in the dark. All of us. We have for months. I know, Stephanie whispered back. I'm starting to love you too. All of you. Even though it's crazy. Crazy is our specialty, Taeho said with a sleepy laugh. Stephanie fell asleep surrounded by warmth and safety, and the certain knowledge that her life would never be normal. But maybe normal was overrated anyway. Maybe this strange, complicated, impossible thing they were building was better than normal could ever be. Hello besties, this is the end of the story. If you've made it this far, I need you to do me a favor. This story took days to write, research, and perfect for you. But without your support, YouTube won't show it to others who would love it just as much. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and drop a comment telling me what you think will happen next. Your engagement literally determines whether I can continue creating these stories for you. Don't be the person who enjoys the content, but doesn't support the creator. 2 clicks, that's all it takes. Subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll see you in next one.